Alright, welcome back for another tutorial with Photoshop. Let's go ahead and drag that photo that we're going to be using onto our desktop, and we can do it in Photoshop the same way we did last time. Do a right click, open with Photoshop, or you can come up to the magnifying glass on the top here and type in Photoshop, and up pops Photoshop. We're going to open it up real quick here. And we're going to drag and drop our photo in if we did the magnifying glass route. Alright, first thing that we're going to do here, we are going to make a duplicate layer of this image. So we're going to swing on down to the background layer here. Let's take our background and drag it on down right next to the trash can. We don't want to delete it. We want to make a copy. We've got a copy of our image. It's the same thing. After that, we're going to swing back up to the very tip top to filter, and we're going to go down to camera raw filter. Up pops this new dialog box. It's got a whole bunch of options here on the side. We can adjust to make it cooler or warmer, and we can make all sorts of adjustments as we go down here. For this particular image, we're going to make it a little bit on the warmer side. We're just going to push it up just slightly. And then the exposure, we're going to turn down the exposure a little bit because we're going to do some things manually on the inside there. Highlights, it's a little on the bright side there, so we're just going to take the highlights and push those down just a little bit. If you go too far down, they get a little bit wonky. So we're just going to take it about halfway. Contrast, let's push up the contrast because that's going to bring out some of those shadows a little bit more. Push that up, and let's take those shadows and push them down because we want to have some nice shadows going on there. Whites, I'm going to skip the whites actually and go back down to my blacks and come make it a little bit darker. Skipping texture, skipping clarity, I can push the clarity up a little bit if I want. Dehaze, yeah, I'm going to dehaze a little bit on this photo. I took this photo while visiting my brother in Kansas. It was a kind of an icky day. Vibrance, let's crank up a vibrance a little bit more, make those colors pop. Now you can play with all of these other options up here. The only one that we're going to do right now is the HSL. It stands for hue, saturation, and luminosity. Now this is very distinct for each color. For example, the red only adjusts the red. You'll see the phone booth there making some changes. Maybe I want to tone it down just a little bit. If I wanted the oranges, it's going to do the bricks and that little rust stain there on the floor. Maybe I want to push them up just a little as well. Make them pop a little more. I'm going to say that's good for right now. Now as an artist, you can go through and you can play with all of these other options. You can explore, experiment. There's great stuff in here. Okay, but for right now, we're good. Let's go ahead and press OK. OK takes it over to our adjusted layer now. You can see if I turn off the eyeball, here's a before, here's an after. Before and after. Okay, let's get rid of those icky things down here on the bottom. So I'm going to do Command plus to get close, hold my space bar, click on the mouse, and drag it up. Okay, let's start off over here. Let's swing over to our toolbox. We're going to grab the healing tool. That's this little band-aid here. It gives you a little example of what it does. So we're going to grab that. And oh my goodness, that is super huge. So we need to make that smaller. Couple of ways, like anything else in Photoshop, but there's always multiple ways. I can come up to the very top, and you can see that it's 300. I can take that down, okay, and then click off, and that's pretty decent size. The other thing that I could do is if I look at my keyboard, right next to the P on my keyboard are what we call the brackets. The one underneath the minus makes it smaller, and the one right next to it underneath the plus sign makes it bigger. Now when it comes to taking out stuff, we do want to get it relatively the same size. So if I just click, let's put a little, you can see it's kind of working. Okay. The other thing that I might want to do, let's come over here. Let's take our hardness, go about halfway as well. Make that a little smaller. There we go. That looks a little better. Let me see if I can do that with the with this other spot here. Get rid of that. That looks better. It's not just a blur. So I can do that with the same thing over here on these areas as well. Now when it comes to this stuff, you might get a little bit wonky if you tried that. Didn't work. Didn't do too bad. You see it's sort of working there. So quick getting rid of some stuff. It's a little bit blurry. Not totally thrilled on it. But I think we're okay. We're okay. Alright, so we're going to zoom out. Let's see if I can get rid of a couple of those guys there. Okay. So I zoomed out. Here's my before. Here's my after. Making it look awesome. Alright. This could be a done file. We could go up here to the top, File, Save, and be done. But we're going to take this a little bit farther. We're going to swing over to our adjustments layer, and if you don't have the adjustments layer, you can jump on over into filter, or excuse me, you can go over here to window and go down to adjustments. If you do have it marked or open, it will be checked, so we're good. I want the adjustments layer, and what I'm looking for is this tool right here. It's called black and white. You see it even changes. It tells you brightness, contrast levels, yada yada. A lot of this stuff is in the camera raw filter, but we're going to do things a little bit different right now. So we're going to click on this black and white, and unfortunately it makes it gray. So we do need to adjust these little sliders to actually make it black and white, so we get some dark darks and some light lights. So I'm going to take that red, I'm going to make it a little bit darker. I'm going to take the yellows, pop them out a little bit. The greens, what's it adjusting on the greens? Oh, the chair, the little bench over there. So let's pull that up. Okay, so this would be your artistic skills coming through. Whatever you think would be good. I like what's going on in the bricks there, making them a little bit darker, so we're going to swing that down. And the last one, we got the magenta, which is another form of red, or a red, yeah. Let's go right about there. I'm not really looking too much on the phone booth, because what I'm going to be doing next, I'm actually going to get rid of the color there. Alright, we're happy with that. We're happy with that. Let me get back to home base. So here's the before, here's the after. We've got a nice darks up here, nice darks over there, blacks on the metal pieces, the shadows are nice and dark. Alright, let's make this phone booth stand out a little bit more. Now in order to do that, we need to understand the opposite color of white. What is it? Well, yeah, it's black. The opposite color of white is black. If we look over in our layers panel, you can see that we have white over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come all the way across into our toolbox and make sure the black is on top. Now there's this little arrow. You can always click that and make it back and forth. And this little dinky one, this puts it to default. So if it's on default white on top, we want to switch it so black is on top. After that, we're going to come up, get the brush tool. It's right underneath our healing brush there. We're going to get the brush tool, and we're going to come over to our phone booth. Now once again, we have the same type of area here. I'm going to go back and make that nice and make it a little on the soft side. You don't want a hard brush for this. So if I just start painting away my phone booth, you'll notice that it starts coming out back to the red again. Now if I get a little bit too crazy here and I'm like, oh, that's not supposed to happen, One thing I can do is I can swing back over into my colors down here, switch it back to white, and take out the oops. Okay, so white hides, black revives. Let me swap it back. I'm going to zoom in, Command plus plus plus. Gets me nice and close. I'm going to use the brackets. The one underneath the minus sign, I'm going to make it smaller so I can come right up against the edge of my phone booth there. Really kind of fine-tuning the edges there. So that's looking good. Jump up here to the top. A little bit of a color splash. Command 0 zooms back out. Make my brush a little bigger, get the middle there. Bada boom, bada bing. We have now brought a little bit more pizzazz to our photos, a little bit of emphasis with this red phone booth standing out in front. Here's our original, here's our finished product. Done and done. Go up to File, go to Save. You can save it to your computer, you can save it to the cloud. I'm going to say save it to the computer. If I'm done working on it, I can save it as a JPEG. If I'm going to come back and work on it some more, I keep it as a Photoshop file because I'm not done yet. I'm going to save this as Color Splash. Save it to my desktop so I know where I'm at. And save. Say OK. I'm going to do it one more time. Save it to the computer. And I'm going to take that and save it as a JPEG. Regular JPEG. Color Splash. Save. Crank it up. Say OK. Done and done. Make sure you turn that picture in. And that's it. We learned a little bit more about the Camera Raw tool. We learned about the healing brush. We learned a little bit about layers and how we can hide and revive. So, how can you use this in your pictures? You're the artist. Make some stuff happen. Good luck, and we'll see you in the next one.